Run your car off the side of the road, get stuck in a ditch way out in the middle of nowhere. Get yourself in a bind, lose your shirt off your back. Need a floor, need a couch, need a bus fare. This is where the rubber meets the road. This is where the cream is gonna rise. This is what you really didn't know. This is where the truth don't lie. You find out who your friends are. Somebody's gonna drop everything, run out and crank up their car. Hit the gas, get there fast, never stop to think what's in it for me, or it's way too far.
All right, good evening, Loganites. This is Heath, and our special guest this evening is Mikey Allen. Welcome, Mikey Allen.
Hey, what's up?
Oh, man. It seems like every single interview that I've done so far, you always seem to come up. So you must have left a huge impression on other Loganites' hearts. Can you give us some information on when you actually started working at Logan's, please?
Yeah, I actually, I can't remember if I was 19 or 20, but I was pretty young. It was after my freshman year of college at St. Joe up in Rensselaer. I had come home back to Lafayette because I had gotten hit by a car up there. And so I came home and was recovering at home. And my parents knew that I would be looking for a job soon. And they just happened to have visited Logan's and came back, had good things to say, and said I should try to apply there. There was lots of young people there. It looked like a fun place to work. So I went in and filled out an application. And you know, when you walk in those early years, you walk in, you get an application from the host, you fill it out right there at table 10.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. And Joe Collins sat down with me.
Okay.
And he just started asking me some questions, and I was just answering the questions. And he ended up hiring me right there. So that's just kind of how that went. I think I was either 19 or 20, but I was pretty young. And most people watching this interview right now probably won't know this about me, but I was really, really quiet and reserved.
I can't believe that.
Before I started at Logan's, I was super quiet. I was very like introverted and was very observant, like just paid attention to what everybody else was doing. I didn't want to do, I didn't want to be the center of attention. And I know that most people don't see that Mikey. That's not who they know.
Okay.
Logan's completely changed me though. Like,
I think it changed all of us.
yeah, no, it changed me in a big way. Like I'm a different person today because of, I think, being at Logan's for at least the first 5 years. I will say the first 4 weeks, 4 weeks I was there, I didn't talk to hardly anyone. If I spoke to you, it was because you spoke to me first.
Okay.
And which, as you know, it doesn't really go well with restaurant front of the house personalities. So
Yeah.
I was eventually learning to be more social, but it took some time. People like Crystal Andrews, I know, if you can imagine, she was one that would come up to a person she just met 5 minutes ago and tell them about her period.
Yeah.
And so and that's the most mild thing that you would probably hear from Crystal. So being around people like that would talk to you and just make you feel like, well, I can't say anything that's worse than that. So,
exactly.
So you just start talking. And
Sure. Or at least you have something to talk about now.
Yeah. You can ask, what the hell are you talking about? Why are you telling me this? That could be my part of the conversation.
Exactly.
But I really started to come out of my shell thanks to people like Crystal, and Wilma was great. Obviously, we all love Wilma. There was people like Dave Landrum from the real early years, which I'm not sure if you were there around that time. Andre, the manager, Tuck, Rick Harrison, who some of us saw later again at Logan's, who left and then came back later. It was an intimidating environment to walk into, especially if you were kind of an introverted person, but it really brought me out of that shell. And so I am who I am today because of that.
I actually didn't catch it. What position did you get hired to do when you first started?
I was hired as a server.
Okay.
My first day, I was trained in the kitchen though, and I went in, and Gina in the kitchen, she was our day kitchen expo,
Okay.
and she trained me in the kitchen. And I remember one of the first things I learned how to do was cook the chips. And I'm thinking, why do I need to know this if I'm going to be a server?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure if this is something they just told me to, because it was my first day and I didn't know any different.
Okay.
But they wanted me to go into the kitchen because they felt like it was important for me to know the food presentation and all that kind of thing, and how to prep the food, which obviously we didn't do that later in the later years. But I don't know if
Mhm.
that was part of the plan or if it was because they were short staffed. But
Okay.
that's where I got trained my first day. After that, I was trained by Jessica Phillips, and she was a great trainer. She had been to a lot of the train the trainer things, and we were actually at that time we were trained a Logan's corporate training store. So we would have managers, and I think you remember part of that time where
Yeah.
managers and crew, what were they called? Front, like Steve Lowell was one at one point, where
Okay.
they were management but not management.
Um,
So we'd train all kinds of people in our store, and
mhm.
we always had like these random people coming through, which kind of helped um, to spread the Lafayette footprint, I think,
Yeah.
because we could travel. I know you went to Tennessee with us, and we stopped several places along the way,
Yeah.
visited managers that we
The
knew.
corporate. That was awesome going to
Yeah, that was
corporate.
pretty neat. So, um, yeah, I mean, I started off in the kitchen that one day, and then I moved out onto the floor and started training with Jessica, and the rest is history, I guess.
I mean, the most years while I served at Logan's, I feel like you were up in the bar. What caused that transition? Was it your choice, or did they just see, your skill set and they were like, Mikey, I think we need to train you up here?
What I would like to say is that they saw my mad baller skills and they said, "We need to put you behind the bar." But that's
Got
not really what happened.
okay.
So what had happened
Were they
was,
short staff again?
well, sort of. So I was an opening server. So I believe I don't remember who I was working with, but I was opening with CJ or one of those daily Monday through Friday server openers, like in the early years. And Nick Odell was our bartender,
Okay.
and I think this might have been the time where he thought his girlfriend had been pregnant, and so
Okay.
he didn't show up to work one day, and I think it was because of a doctor's appointment or something.
Okay.
Um, and so they fired him, and they said, "Hey, Mikey, we got a new position for you." So
You
trial
filled
by
the
fire.
role.
That's where I learned. I think I might have been 21 by a week, so I had
And they put you
just
in that
turned 21.
position.
Yeah,
That's awesome. And then you became an awesome bartender. I mean, people came there just to see you and sit up there and just sit for hours just to talk to you. So you went from being an introvert to being, one that is a socialite there at Logan,
yeah,
or at least
yeah,
brought the socialites
yeah. It was a
together.
complete 180 for me, like personality wise. Like, I totally different.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, my years at the bar were it was hard at first because I was learning. I didn't get trained for I think 3 or 4 weeks. I was going in and I was learning it on my own, and I think that was probably part of the reason that I learned some things well, because I figured out, oh, that doesn't work. I'm going to do this different. And then Teresa eventually trained me, and as we all know, Teresa is amazing, and she's top dog behind the bar. But she ended up training me, and I finally started getting some night shifts and working with her and kind of seeing how she did it. Some of the other more experienced bartenders that were around, Dana, and I think Leslie did a little bit there at the beginning. But
All right. Well, okay. So, Mikey, I actually never ever caught you in a situation where you were stressed. Even on sports nights, I feel like I was sweating up at the host stand. I was on the phone. I was looking up there at the bar. I mean, that's where my eyes were constantly. And because I was always trying to like find
checking
like
me
a
out.
spot in the 90s that I could actually seat someone if there
Yeah.
was no spot up at the bar. I never saw you stress. Like, what was your secret, or did you have somebody there that you could like vent and I never saw it? Like, what was your secret to managing your stress levels?
I wish I knew that secret today.
Because you were always so cool up there.
I honestly, I'm not real sure, because I think that as my years went on there, when I started doing those football Saturdays, those nights where we were constantly going for hours and hours,
That was a life.
um, I think by that time, like I said, I had this huge transition in my personality and who I was, and I think coming out of that shell really built some of my confidence,
Okay.
and I think my confidence in myself and my abilities to do what I was doing
Mm-hmm.
were solid enough to where it didn't phase me. Like I knew what I was good at, and if I made a mistake, I knew how to fix it, and I knew that the management trusted me to correct things, and they'd hand me their management card, and I could go on and I could do the deleting, and I could handle things without them coming back there and getting in the way. And um, I did get stressed. I won't say that I was never stressed. There were times where I was.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's hard. It's constant going at the bar, and you've got people hollering your name or throwing peanuts at you, or and you've got servers that need change. And I think that right there, probably the servers needing change thing, was one of the things that drove me nuts the most.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think I had more grace with people that I knew brought in their bank versus those people that I knew never brought in a bank,
Yeah.
and then they're up there at after their first table wanting change for 100 or something.
Yeah.
And um, but I also know that as a server, you get to walk away from your tables. You can go and you can vent that stress in the alley,
Yeah.
where your tables don't see you getting frustrated.
Yeah.
But then when you walk back out, you have to put that server face on. Well, I couldn't do that behind the bar. And so you kind of had to keep your composure behind the bar a little bit better, because your guests can see that, and it can cost you money potentially.
Yeah.
So,
I totally forgot about moments like that because being up at the door, sometimes I would see those servers walking out those doors out into the parking lot, just
mhm.
cool out or cool off and walk around, before they came back in. I totally forgot about that. Man, that's so true.
Yep.
So that was a focus on the little some stress in the past. Now let's like focus on a guest that left an impression on you. Who did you always really enjoy seeing coming through those doors and up to the bar to see you? Well, I know they came to be fed and drink, but they came to see us too. So who's
I
that
had
person out there?
I had several, and of course, everybody at Logan's is going to know Bob,
Yeah,
right? We
exactly.
all know Bob. Bob went in there from before my time, and he went in there after my time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Bob's great, and we all love Bob. I've seen, we've done canoe trips with Bob and cookouts at Wilma's with Bob, and he really became one of the Logan's family.
I want to say we vented at Bob. At least I did.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. He would come in and he would let us bitch at him. Like he, they're supposed to come and sit at the bar so they can whine and cry, but he would listen to us all the time, and he wanted it. He wanted to be
Right,
part of
right.
it. Him and his wife Pat, and then when Pat passed away, he really kind of started to come back in a lot, and I think he was bored, and
Mm-hmm.
that was his comfort place. And so I remember making Pat's Roadhouse teas, and always making them a little bit salty for her. She likes them super strong, and she wants to go home and spend the night with Bob. She's going to have a buzz to do it, right? So it was always a good time with Bob. But there's been several really, really good guests. Laura Martin.
Oh God, I miss her. I
She
haven't
passed
seen
away
her
several years ago, but
forever.
she was great. I actually I have a message on my phone that I haven't deleted in 6 years because she's been gone, and I listen to that message from Laura every now and again. She's asking about Annabelle and I being on the Taste of Tippy Canoe on TV 18, and so I still have that message that I listened to from Laura. But she was great. She loved Annabelle, and Annabelle loved visiting her, and she would come in and drink her sweet tea, and every once in a while she'd she'd have a drink or a margarita, and she'd bring friends in all the time.
Oh yeah, she would.
And so a lot of her friends kind of became close, you know,
Hmm.
people that we knew also. Actually, I've got
Yeah,
you
show us
guys
some
can
of this
see that.
stuff. Yeah, I want to see
So
this
we've
stuff.
got this is the original tip bucket from Logan's that disappeared, and nobody was ever sure where it went for, I don't know, 10, 15 years. And then I had to bartend at a wedding, actually two women that Laura introduced me to,
Okay.
Jen and Christy. And actually, she introduced me to Christy, not Jen. But they ended up getting married, and they asked me to bartend at their wedding. And when they paid me at the end, they handed me this bucket full of money, and I just got this big grin on my face, and because I knew exactly what it was. I
Yeah.
hadn't seen it forever, but I knew what it was, and I remember it going missing.
Uh-huh.
And so there's the original peanut bucket that we used for our tip jar. So I know Teresa probably recognizes that bucket.
Now we know.
But yeah, I've also got my trainer shirt.
That's so awesome.
Got our Zach and Dana, our softball jersey, and then this one in the middle is toward the later part of my years there, where it says 2 weeks notice is the name of the team, and that was because everybody was so frustrated with the management, we were ready to quit. So 2 weeks notice, because we're all like right there, ready to leave. But I had that stuff up there because it kind of made me think of all these people that were kind of bringing together that all worked at separate times.
Mhm.
We're somehow all one part of one group.
Somehow we threw it all together. How did that happen? I wonder.
I don't know. I've thought about that long and hard, and I don't know how we have people that may have worked 2 years from 2001 to 2002, but are close friends with the people that were around in 2010. And
Exactly. Yeah.
it's
I was
always
almost
go ahead.
Well, after one of these interviews, I was thinking, I was just like, I brought that person to Logan's, I brought that person to Logan's, I brought that person to Logan's.
Yeah.
I think maybe that kind of happened. All of us kind of brought our friends in at some point.
Yeah, and we could,
because we were already hanging out with them on the weekends and at night. You might as well hang out with them at your job too.
yeah, that way we can be miserable all day together too, right?
Miserable. That's true.
Yeah.
So I already know this. I don't know how, but you and I both ended up in the field of education after Logan's, because I did not have this path set for myself at all. I didn't see myself as an educator. So tell us, what is life like after Logan's? What is it? Like, what do you do?
Well, for me, life after Logan's happened several times, right? Because I quit. I think it was in 2008 I quit and left for 4 years, and came back after the 4 years just kind of as a part-time thing. That was after Annabelle was born. I was doing that part-time, and I was working a couple other jobs, Lowe's maybe, and I can't remember what the other one may have been, but I was working several part-time jobs on top of, kind of help being Annabelle's dad.
Yeah.
But I came into a completely different group of people. There were, I think when I came back, like Miss IL was there. A lot of our kitchen guys were still there. Maybe one or two of the managers, but it was most like the whole staff had turned over mostly. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of got to know a few of those, but it was nothing at all compared to what it was before I left. Although I did end up getting close with this new group, some of these new group of people, it just wasn't the same. Wilma was still there, and I don't remember what your original question was, but
you're doing great.
there was a lot of good people that were there in both of my stints, and then life after Logan's. Yeah. So then I am slowly building relationships with the people at Logan's again, and of course they all know who Mikey is. They've never seen me, but they've heard of me, which is kind of weird to walk into a place where everybody knows you, but you've never met any of them.
Yeah. And stories have spread about you.
I guess. I don't know. I think Wilma probably gave everybody a heads up. I don't know if we call it a heads up or a warning.
She's a storyteller. She still tells stories.
Yeah. And so a lot of people had preconceived notions about me and kind of had, things that they thought about me. And it all worked out. I ended up becoming friends with a lot of them, and A lot of the people that were after that period didn't last very long. They were there for a month, 2 months, and then they were gone.
Yeah.
It wasn't like before where
Yeah.
anybody that got hired was going to be there 3-4 years.
Oh yeah,
And
absolutely.
it just didn't have that not as much afterward. But then I finally graduated in 2012 from Purdue and got my first job at Wheeler Ridge, and then ended up moving over to Sunnyside Intermediate School for a year, a little over a year, and then got hired in Lebanon, where I teach now at Hattie B. Stokes, and that's where I've been ever since. And I always kind of wanted to be a teacher. I'm not sure, all my years of college, and it was like Van Wilder. I had my own golf cart and my own parking spot.
Yeah.
But I never. I almost at some point thought that this is never going to happen. I'm just going to be a kid for the rest of my life. And I was having lots of fun, and but I was in school almost the whole time, taking 1-2 classes at a time at Ivy Tech. But my priorities were not school for a long, long time. So I wasn't sure I'd ever actually meet that goal of being a teacher. But now I am a teacher. Taught first grade for a year, and then I taught fourth grade for 3 years, and now I do 4 or 5 looping, where I've got my fourth grade class and I keep them for
That's
the
nice.
following year in fifth grade. I've since doing that, I've also taken over the robotics club.
That's
I've done
awesome.
that for 3 years, and I do robotics. Although this past year we didn't. I think we met maybe twice before we got quarantined in March. And then this year we haven't been able to open the robotics club up, which is kind of sad, because I wrote a grant last year for a brand new 3D printer that we haven't even been able to use. So looking forward to getting into some of that stuff here soon.
Absolutely, you will.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we're going to be able to do it this year. The amount of time that it takes and to get kids ready to use something like that. I don't know if we've got the amount of time left in school this year, but
well, as soon as you guys do, I want to see this stuff.
Yeah, I'm excited to get it out. It's still in the box. I mean, I've looked at the manual of it, and that's about it.
I'm not unboxing my classroom. I got boxes everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm not touching it until next school year.
Yeah.
So I feel like you have done an awesome job at maintaining closeness with a lot of our past coworkers. Who would you say that you've been able to maintain the greatest relationship throughout the years?
Oh, well, I don't know. I don't see any of them anymore, and but I do talk to a lot of them. Actually, just today, text message, I texted back and forth between Kelly Franklin and myself, and the conversation was as ridiculous as ever, right? I think I sent her a text that just said the word boobies, and I can't. I think
it went.
Yeah, it was just ridiculous, and I haven't talked to her in probably 2 years. So, and she responded with like, "Hola," something in Spanish. I don't know what she said, but I don't remember. But it was just a silly, quick conversation. It meant nothing, but it was just kind of checking in on each other. I do that with a lot of people. Karina texted me today asking, what I was doing on, Easter's coming up. So she texted me today asking about that. The Christophers, I see them every couple of years maybe. You're usually around when that happens.
Yeah.
But
it hasn't happened over here.
Well, we kind of been in a different situation, but
we're gonna have to find a new place too.
I know, and I'm sure we will. Teresa's talked about possibility.
I love the picture. She shared pictures with me. I'm totally down for that.
Yeah, and as far as like keeping in touch with those people, I don't think that it's necessary to talk to them every day to know that they're like the closest friends that you'll ever have.
Absolutely.
I haven't talked to Teresa in a long time. I haven't talked to Steve Duck in a long time, manager Steve Duck. Kelly, like I said, I haven't talked to her in 2 years. The
Mhm.
Christophers live all the way out west. Jamie and Dan and Steve and Angela, and they all live way out west. Tara Raber, I don't see her hardly ever. Um, Janica's birthday was what, yesterday?
Yep.
Um, I texted her. I probably haven't talked to her in a couple years,
Yeah.
texted her and we had a short conversation. Um, April, you remember April?
God, I haven't. Yeah, I feel like I used to be Facebook friends with her in my old account, but yeah, is she in the Logan's group?
I don't think she is. I don't think she's
I'm
on
gonna have to
Facebook
send an
now.
invite out to her. I really remember April.
But Nicole Clevenger, she lives down in Tennessee, and hardly ever talk to her either. But every great once in a while, we just happen to, you know,
Yeah,
get a
and
message
wherever
or
she
something like
goes,
that.
I feel like a dog goes with her too.
Yeah, yeah.
I know.
She had a dog. I'm not sure the dog's still around now, but
Maybe she has a new dog. I just
corn dog.
remember
You
that
know,
she's
corn
a
dogs.
very she loves dogs. I just know
Yeah,
that.
yeah. She's always had one. I think as long as I've known.
Yeah, yeah.
Denise, Denise is always one that's always stirring something up between someone.
And
Uh,
hopefully forever.
yeah, if it's, I remember the days when Denise is going out partying hardy, and I'm trying to, be professional and dad, and
Yeah.
I'm getting tagged at places like Chances Are, when you could tag people on Facebook and you didn't have to have permission. Like she was just tagging everybody. Yeah, we're all at the titty bar. Thanks.
You're like
But it's like, no. Now everybody that knows me on Facebook thinks I was out there with you.
I'm supposed to be teaching a class right now.
Obviously, I have morals, and I'm not there, right? So I don't know. Lots of great people that you just don't see everyone. Actually, I think Denny lives like half a block from me. Denny Malky.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I think
I haven't seen him forever either. I haven't been in Lafayette for the longest time. I don't even remember the last time I think it's been like 2 years since I've been to Lafayette.
yeah.
Yeah. Were you able to drive by the lot?
Yes, actually, Annabelle and I were there watching them. We sat in the old Chick-fil-A parking lot and kind of just watched them mess with it. I don't know what they were doing, messing with the dirt and kind of moving some stuff around after the building is already gone, but
Yeah.
just kind of reminiscing and seeing just seeing the building's not there anymore.
Yeah.
They had all the wooden benches that were inside were all stacked up outside. I think somebody probably from the construction crew is going to come and get them or something. And
Yeah.
yeah, it was kind of sad to see it go, but we don't need the building, right? I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
actually, the building kind of drove me a little bit nuts because everybody wanted to go there to visit and to
Yeah.
have their Logan's get together. I was like, dude, I don't want to go to Logan's. Probably because I was the only one that still worked there after 20.
Everybody else did. All right. So before we leave or in the interview, is there anything else you would like to share with your old Logan's family?
I love these interviews. I love hearing from the old crew. I love reading the messages under the videos. I know Allison was on there after the last one, and she's talking about some fun things. Dave Landrum got in there and was talking about how he changed my name in the computers to E6. So whenever my food came up, it was coming up to E6, which they're all teasing me about shortstop for the team. And yeah, I love seeing old people, or not old people. I don't love seeing old people. That's weird. The old Logan's crew. It's fun to see them talking about memories and all the pictures that are being posted, with all the familiar faces that we all look so young in some of those pictures. And
I know, right?
yeah, I've got lots and lots of pictures. Probably all of us in our most proud moments too. Maybe I should be posting a few of them. And
God, I have pictures that I haven't even posted because they're so inappropriate. When Stacy used to have parties over at Nick's place,
yeah, that sounds.
and I will never let those pictures out.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's just fun to hear and I know there's so many people's names that I wanted to bring up tonight, and I just I have a whole list of these names here and of people that I have stories about, but we don't have 3 hours to do an interview. But looking through all these people, there's so many good stories and fun things to talk about. And
Mhm.
I really loved going into Logan's and being hungover with all of my best friends. And it was great. Like, football Saturdays, we all bust our ass and we work together, and we get through that difficult, stressful situation together as a group, and then go out and we let loose together as a group. And then we all got to open the next morning.
Exactly.
So I think maybe there's the key to our long friendship is, stressful situations that we find ways to work through together as a group, and
Mhm.
or as a unit, and then we release that stress all together at the same time.
That's
Um,
right.
the
And I
parties
feel
at Justin Grove's house, like that was one of the big things. And then after Justin was gone, it ended up being parties at Dave's house or my house and Justin's house, where
Mhm.
there was plenty of room for people to stay, and plenty of lots of,
unplanned stay.
yeah, you
Waking
plenty of,
up and like asking yourself, why am I here?
yeah. I remember
Oh my gosh.
people showing up to work the next day wearing shirts for Logan's that were obviously for someone else.
Oh yeah.
Amy Rafferty, I think, showed up, or Dan's wife showed up wearing one of my Logan's shirts one day,
Yeah.
and Kevin Barthauer called her out. He's like, "That is not your shirt, Jamie," because it was huge on her, and it was nothing like creepy or anything that happened. She just left from my house and borrowed a shirt,
Yeah.
but it was just funny stuff like that happened all the time.
I know this is your interview, but you made me think of one time where I went back and partied, and I woke up the next morning at Christine, uh, Robin, and
Rebecca,
Rebecca's place,
yeah.
and I left and I said, "Hey, I made the blankets. I folded them, put them all back." And then Christine or Rebecca messaged me back and said, "Heath, we don't live there anymore." But the door was unlocked because they always kept the side door
Yes, I
unlocked.
remember that. I remember
And
that.
so I went through the side door, and they were always cool about me sleeping on the couch. And that wasn't their place anymore. No, I didn't get caught or anything. Like, whoo. But
Just
yeah,
borrow
I
the
do
couch.
remember that.
Yes, no, I remember that story, and we have so many stories like that that are just
Exactly.
like how did that even happen? I don't know how most of us even survived our 20s because some of the stupid things that happen.
I
Um,
don't know either.
yeah, I remember blowing stuff up in the backyard of Dave's, like works bombs, and thought they didn't work, so we just tossed it aside and started drinking again. And
Uh-huh.
10 minutes later, we hear this enormous explosion, scares the shit out of all of us. And it was,
Yeah.
you know, so just doing stupid stuff all the time, having lots of fun. I don't know how we didn't get drunk and drive and hurt someone, but
Yeah. I,
uh,
that's good because we had a
we
place
were
to
very
stay
blessed.
and we stayed.
Well, that wasn't always the case though. But
Well, I stayed
yeah, well, it might have been
uninvited
smarter than
too.
me. But yeah, the softball games were awesome. We had so much fun at softball.
Yeah.
That one year where we won the championship, that was the best year because we had such great people that like the people that came to watch the games were as important to us winning as us being on the field.
Uh-huh.
And we had the drunkest fans in the league, and it was so much fun.
Yeah. I feel like the first year that I actually started working at Logan's, that's what sold me into continuing to work Logan's, because that first year I went out there because you guys all played really late because you were getting off work, you had to play super late. And I showed up and it was just the hospitality, like the welcoming, the sense of, wow, this is what you guys do. This is so much fun.
Mhm.
And I think that's actually what pulled me in, were those games at night.
Yeah, and that goes back to I was talking about. You're talking about being welcomed into a group. That
Yeah.
my first 3 weeks there, it was intimidating, but
Yeah.
I was welcomed, right? So it can be scary to come into a group like that that's
Yeah.
tightly knit and does so well together, and then But once you're in, and we don't let you
life.
go. For life. So all you guys out there watching, you're stuck. You might get a text message from me saying boobies.
All right, Mikey. Thank you so much for doing this. I know everybody else will really enjoy seeing your face and hearing these stories. And thank you so much for doing this. It's greatly appreciated.
Thank you. We all, like I said, we appreciate the interviews, and I know that it's a lot of work for you to get this put together. So we appreciate that. And thank you to all you guys that are watching these and commenting on them and telling us your stories in the comments. It's great to hear those things. So
awesome. All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
See ya.
Get yourself in a bind, lose a shirt off your back. Need a floor, need a couch, need a bus fare. This is where the rubber meets the road. This is where the cream is gonna rise. This is what you really didn't know. This is where the truth don't lie. You find out who your friends are. Somebody's gonna